Hi, I wanted to share my gastroparesis story. So I've uploaded 2 videos already, but I haven't actually told my story of how I've gotten this far. So I just wanted to quickly try to run through that and share it with you. I got a horrible stomach bug on November 16th, 2015. And once that stomach bug had passed, I was still extremely nauseated, and I couldn't figure out why. I I started thinking maybe I was pregnant. Um, so so I took a home pregnancy test to see if that was the case, and it was negative. Um, so after looking online, reading about stomach bugs and viruses, everyone online said that after 2 to 3 days, a bug passes. So I'm like, so it's not a bug. So what was going on here? So I went to my doctor, and she prescribed an acid reducer and antibiotics, and she said that if I wasn't better in 2 weeks, that I need to contact the GI doctor. Excuse me. So after 2 weeks, still really nauseated, I went to see a GI doctor, which did the endoscopy test, which revealed that there was just some erosion to my esophagus, but nothing else. No stomach ulcers, no H. pylori, none of that kind of stuff. So we're like, what is going on? Like, if there's nothing in my stomach, what in the world? So that doctor put me on Reglan, and at the time I didn't know anything about that drug, so I'm just like, sure, whatever, you're a doctor, I'm just gonna take it. So I was taking that, and I was taking that, and I didn't know I had gastroparesis, so I was still just eating normally, which my diet was a lot of salads, a lot of raw vegetables, a lot of steamed broccoli, green beans, fruits and stuff like that, which, as you know, are not good for gastroparesis. So, so around February, I went to another GI doctor, and he started me on all these different tests. First, he gave me a handout saying, don't eat salads, and the paper they give you, don't eat salads, just eat small meals, no chocolate, no coffee. So I was like, this guy is a joke. Why can I not eat salads and chocolate? And I don't believe anything he says, so I'm just gonna keep on living my life the way I do, which was probably not very wise. But that's what I did. Me. So then this doctor prescribed a whole bunch of different tests. The first one was an ultrasound test, which showed nothing. Then he did a gallbladder test, which also showed nothing. And then he finally did the gastric food emptying test, which was the 4-hour test. The results of this test were kind of odd because the machine broke several times during my test. So I'm not even sure that these results are that accurate. But at 1 hour, it showed I had 85% of the meal still in my stomach. At 2 hours, 20% of the meal still in my stomach. And at 4 hours, 9% of the meal, which normal range is 0 to 10%. So again, I'm not entirely sure that these results are even accurate. The 4-hour test ended up taking more like 6 hours with all the rebooting of the machine over and over again. It was quite obnoxious. After this result, he decided to finally prescribe me the liquid emptying test. So in that test, they had me drink 10 ounces of radioactive water, and then I was at a 45-degree angle. And the results for that were it took my stomach 31 minutes to empty 10 ounces of water with no food in my stomach, which normal is less than 19 minutes. So the result was abnormal liquid emptying compatible with liquid gastroparesis. So this was my diagnosis, and my GI at the time was terrible, and he didn't have the education of different drugs out there and medications. So he said the only thing that I could do was take Reglan. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that because of the side effects. There's got to be another way. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, then I'm going to find a different doctor. So I went to a different GI, and she was great. And she told me there were 3 different options. One was Reglan, which I told her I wasn't going to do for obvious reasons. The next one was domperidone, which is a drug that is not, like, it's not, I think it's FDA approved here in America. So your doctor can prescribe it, and then you can order it. Mine comes from Blue Sky Drugs in Canada. And then she said the other option was a small dose of antibiotic, which to me sounded like a horrible idea, that your body constantly is on a antibiotic killing the good and bad bacteria, which means you then have to be on a probiotic. And this small dose antibiotic isn't even for gastroparesis. It's to treat something else, and a side effect is that it can empty your stomach. So I decided to go with domperidone because it seemed like the best of the 3 options. So it takes about 20 days for those pills to arrive from Canada. So I ordered them, and then I went online again. I spent a lot of time online trying to figure out how to fix my stomach. And I came across this video of a guy saying that he has gastroparesis, and even though he's not cured, he had no symptoms at all anymore. And I was like, wow, well, how do I get this? And so he had an email on his YouTube link, and I emailed him, and then he sent me his phone number and said, let's talk. So I called him, and he told me his story, and I told him my story. And it was so good just to talk to somebody else who has gastroparesis and has been there and knows what it's like. And so that was great, just talking to him. And he told me about this thing that he was on that helped him, get rid of all of his symptoms. So after a month and a half of taking this, he had no more symptoms of nausea, acid reflux, none of that kind of stuff, which was, to me, amazing. And then at 4 months, he was throwing all of his medications down the drain. So I was like, I don't know, can I trust this guy? I mean, I don't even know him. So I talked with my husband, and we decided that since the domperidone was already on its way, that we should give that a try and see how that goes. So the pills arrived, and I started taking them, and I thought, like, wow, they're working really well. Like, I feel really good, but I think it just so happened that I was having a really good GP week that week, because then the following week, things went back downhill, and yes, they were a little bit better, but I'd say overall, with the drug, I feel like my life only improved at like 3%. It was very low, not low enough to take a drug that has side effects like hair loss. It was messing up with my menstrual cycle. Also, there's like no sex drive, and it was making my face break out and a lot of pimples. So I just thought, like, I don't want to be on drugs anymore. I so hate taking drugs, and especially ones that have side effects like this that are horrible. So I went back to my GI doctor, and I explained to her, look, you told me that if I was on domperidone, I could eat normally, live normally. And she said, well, you do have this disease, and you may never eat the way you want ever again. And I'm like, well, I kind of don't believe that, but okay, so what do I do now? And she said, you just have to stick to a GP-friendly diet and continue on domperidone. At this point, I asked her about the thing that my friend had recommended, and she said that it was a good source of nutrition, and it was also a good way to get the antioxidants that my body needed, because I was taking the Vega Essential shakes that I think you get from Target, because I was trying to just find some way to get nutrition into my system. Because as you know, having gastroparesis, I can't eat fruits and vegetables, even when most of the vegetables are completely, thoroughly cooked. They still make me nauseated. So I'm very limited to basically potatoes, carrots, and squash, which I love all three of those things, but it gets pretty old after a while, and plus the nutritional value of those vegetables are not as high as, say, broccoli or green beans. So going home, I talked with my husband, and we decided that I could try what my friend had recommended while also taking the domperidone. So I ordered that, and that came, and I started taking it, and I was so excited that I could finally get some nutrition into my body without being nauseated, because that is a huge deal, without eating fruits and vegetables, but still getting the nutrition my body needed. So that was really amazing. So I slept really well, like the first 4 nights, and then I sort of felt like my gut was having like a bacteria battle going on in there. Probably trying to wipe out all the horrid stuff that I had fed my body for the past 1.5 years while having gastroparesis and not being able to eat healthy. But after that had passed, after about a month, I really started to notice that my nausea was decreasing, which was really awesome. Then, let's see, I just hit the 2 months of this recently, and as I approached the 2 months, I decided that I was running out of my domperidone, and I decided I didn't want to take it anymore because the side effects were horrible. And I didn't really think that through, because it takes 20 days for the pills to arrive, and so I was like, nah, I'm just not gonna order them. And so I didn't, and immediately I was like, what have I done? But it just turns out that I was just having a normal GP flare-up for those couple days. So once those days passed, I think it was getting that drug out of my system, because my hair wasn't falling out as much, and my pimples were going away, which was great. And so I decided then and there, I don't want to go back on this drug ever again unless I'm dying or something. I desperately need it. But the nutrition that I was putting into my body was really helping with my nausea. So I continued with that, and looking at my calendar, the amount of pukey emoji faces was decreasing. It was going from almost every day to every other day, every 3 days. And now when I look at it, there's once a week, which is amazing. So that nutrition that I was putting in my body, I think is really helping to heal it, which is really amazing and so wonderful. So I also want to mention one quick thing. In the past week, I started using CBD oil to help with the tiny bit of nausea that I still have left that is still there. So that's really helping a lot, and it is almost instant relief. So that's really amazing. And I think that as I could continue with my nutrition, that eventually I will not even need the CBD oil. And also, hopefully, after 3 months, maybe 4 months of being on it, I will then be able to eat fruits and vegetables again, which will be so amazing. And I really look forward to that day. So I just want to say that if you're out there and you have gastroparesis, please contact me to find out what nutrition I'm getting into my system without eating fruits and vegetables, because if you have gastroparesis, you need the nutrition, even if it doesn't take away all of your symptoms, excuse me. It is changing my life. I never thought that I would have such little nausea and acid reflux, and I just can't wait to see how great my life will be in the next month or two. So please email me for that information. Thanks.